Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Chat with Amita, Sri Lanka's first LinkedIn live talk show. Today it's episode 36. It's all about consistency. I've been running this for 36 weeks. I'm excited, and there had been a lot of people who come and supported me along the way. Imagine 36 guests and then having to work with them, choosing a topic, and then agreeing upon the areas to discuss, and then managing the responses from various interested parties, coming and commenting, asking questions live. So, let me talk about myself a little bit. My name is Amita Gamage, and I would like to welcome all of you who are joining from LinkedIn, Facebook, and also coming from YouTube. From whatever the platform that you are joining, you are welcome to ask questions and then comment and share some of these discussions with your own network. So I am I'm an executive coach. I love coaching CEOs. That's one of the primary things I do. I also help C-level executives and very senior managers and business owners manage their personal brands. I'm a personal branding strategist, and I also help especially B2B organizations improve their sales performance by way of working with their sales staff. And apart from that, I live stream, do a lot of things, and then most of the time I spend my good quality time on LinkedIn helping or receiving help and improving my knowledge. So we have been talking various types of subjects from digital transformation to digital skills to accounting, finance, marketing, whatnot. Today we have uh, decided, of course, there are requests coming from various interested parties, those who come here. Amita, when are you going to do something like this? So there had been some discussion over the last few weeks. There were a few who said, Amita, do something about this working from home. We have already done one or two on working from home, but then this is special. And why is it special? With this pandemic, lockdown 1, 2, and 3, people have been working from home on a continuous basis. I sometimes get invited to do sessions on how to work from home effectively, which I used to do. But then this is not about how to work from home effectively. Now, there are other things that you need to manage and look after. And one very key important, maybe two, are nutrition and fitness as you work from home. There's less discussion on these things sometimes. You want to know how to work from home effectively, and you completely ignore your nutrition and fitness. So I was moving around and checking who should be here, and then I found the ideal person, someone whom I knew for some years, but never invited this special person to come on board. And I thought maybe it's time that she creates value for my audience. And then I invited Dr. Deena. So let me invite Dr. Deena to the stage. Good evening, Dr. Deena.
Good evening, Amita. How are you?
Great, great. Thank you very much for. I know you have a very tight schedule. You are active on Clubhouse, you have your clinic, online sessions, you are a motivational speaker, whatnot. Yeah, we are going to find all that. But then, despite all that, you didn't want to refuse my invitation.
Of course.
So, I always ask this question from all my guests. One thing is to give an inspiration to the younger generation who are coming and watching these shows and participating. I always ask about everybody's younger age. What were you doing, during your school time, maybe your university times to the early stages. So you want to talk a little bit about your younger age here?
Sure, sure. So I think my childhood was not nothing extraordinary. I think it was a typical Sri Lankan middle class family, and growing up, I was an average student. But by around grade seven, it changed a little when I wanted to know what it felt like to be a little bit of a successful student. So that's when I started to work. So I have two younger brothers, and I'm the oldest child. And then, I mean, school was interesting because it was not anything extraordinary, though. I wasn't that into sports, nothing extracurricular back in the days. So it was a very average childhood. But something changed around grade seven when I decided to know what it feels like to be a little hardworking. And when I put a little bit of effort, I started to see the benefits of it. So around grade seven is when things started to change towards a more academic focus. Yeah.
Okay, right. So eventually you have ended up towards medicine, as your mainstream of education. So what triggered you to move towards medicine, not maybe uh, other areas, or maybe let's say commerce or something like the business?
Well, I think like a lot of Sri Lankan kids growing up, it was a dream for me to become a doctor. But when I was around 15 years, I asked myself why. Because at that time, there were no other doctors in my family, and I had never really spent time with a doctor as a kid. So then I realized it was actually to make a difference. Like I wanted to become something which I knew could make a difference in society. And coming from a somewhat conservative background, I knew that if I wanted to be something crazy, it's probably not going to be allowed. So it felt like a safe bet to want to do medicine, even though it was very challenging to get admission and stuff.
Okay, right. So we have a few more friends who are commenting. So we have Charaka, he was one of our guests. Hi, Amita, 14 more episode towards the 50th goal. A lot diversity as always. Yeah, Charaka, thank you very much. He was one of our guests about international markets and marketing. I'm planning to do a few more sessions with him. And let's see who else is there. Hi, John. Good evening. Timely topic. Yeah, of course. We have Usman. Hi, Usman. Thank you for joining. And as usual, Tamit is here. Good evening, both of you. As usual, hope today program also will be valuable one. Tamit, you wait. I'm starting a Facebook Live soon covering a specific topic, and Tamit will be one of my co-hosts. So you better. I mean, he used to come for every session here. So, and I thought, okay, why don't I do a session, weekly one with him and two other co-hosts, and then Tamit will be one. So this is how things change, right? Uh, okay. John is asking a question. John, can you kindly disclose how many patients you could consult as a date? I think, John, let's cover more relevant ones where the audience can actually get value out of this 1 hour. Of course, she might give a hint, but then I know, who knows, John? Who knows whether you are trying to figure out her income? So we'll leave that question for a while. But I would like to ask this question, and then you have decided to move on the field of medicine. But again, you have picked a specific subject, nutrition. Why is that?
Well, to cut a long story short, what happened is when I graduated medicine, I came back to Sri Lanka and I got into the corporate sector and got into fitness as a lifestyle. So then, after several years of getting into fitness as a lifestyle, I went back to Pakistan where I studied medicine. And when I went there, while I was practicing during the day, in the evening, I used to just work out. And a lot of medical students and doctors came and asked me to coach them with fitness, and I didn't have the time. So then depending based on the popular request, I conducted group sessions for a lot of medical students and doctors, and that's when I made the connection between medicine and fitness, the bridge between the two to be nutrition, because a lot of people know basically what and how to work out. Like they can find a lot of YouTube videos on exercise and they can go and get a gym membership, but a lot of people were confused with what to eat, and that's when I realized that there aren't enough people specialized in this field to be able to guide people, especially Amita, the layman, because a lot of people who are the athletes and who are in the profession of fitness have specialists and professionals to help them out. What about the rest of society? The average corporate person or the mother at home or any other profession who are busy living their lives doing other things,
Yeah.
they don't have enough people to help guide them in a simple way on how they can improve their nutrition.
Yeah. True. So I'm I'm gonna dig little deep into you, right?
Sure.
So you are into martial arts. At least a little bit of information about your hidden side, which is the martial arts side of it. Is it about karate or kung fu? I really don't know.
So what happened is I had got into fitness, the typical gym lifestyle a long time ago, and I had been doing that for 8 years. I achieved my fitness goals, I achieved my physique goals, but something was missing. There was that element of something was missing from it, and I realized that there was no spiritual element in the way people just conventionally work out in the gym. So I had to find a fitness routine or a lifestyle which also brought the spiritual element. And when I looked for it, I found it in Kung Fu. And that's how I got into Kung Fu, which was exactly what I needed because it brings the meditation and the mindfulness with the practice of fitness as well. So that's how that happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, if someone is thinking the authority of you to speak on this subject, I think up to now, whatever you reveal to us is proving that you have authority on the subject, not just as a medical doctor, but then there are so many other elements into it. And then one more thing about Dr. Dina. I know you speak a lot of languages. I mean, how many languages do you speak?
How much fluency are you asking about?
Okay, if you can say, I can speak in English, okay, that's the statement. I want you to translate into, I mean, I want you to say it in as much as languages you know.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I can speak English. මට සිංහල කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. එනක තමුලුම් පේසේලුම්. हिंदी भी बात कर सकती. उर्दू भी मुझे आती है और सिंधी भी खबर.
Wow. You are surprising me. I was about to get up and go because I couldn't understand half of them.
So that was 6 languages. I said it in 6 different languages.
Yeah, of course, you have traveled. So obviously, you have learned the art of mingling with people easily and then learning their culture and language. Amazing. That shows the learner inside you. I mean, not only being a medical doctor, but the nutrition, martial arts, languages. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people who are coming to you to get coached are also lucky because someone who understands the others. That's we also talk about empathy a lot these days. So I can imagine, yeah. And then that's one reason I don't want to come to you because this kung fu thing, kung fu thing. I would say, doctor, I have put on 2 kilos and I couldn't stick to your schedule, and then I don't want to get a kung fu shot somewhere. I know you are a kind doctor, so let me ask this question. Why nutrition is important these days, during this pandemic era, during this working from home era?
Yeah, it's anyway it's important to Amita. I mean, we know it's a fact, it's generally important, but it becomes more important now due to a few reasons, which is why that our lifestyle has changed. For example, people are moving a lot less than they normally would, right? Like people used to step out of the houses, they used to go to the gyms or the park, or just go out to the market, even to the Sri Lankan vegetable to buy the Sunday pola, for example. People used to go walking and do these kind of things. People used to go to the fish market. But now it has moved more towards buying online or buying from shops just around your house due to the restrictions of the lockdowns and the pandemic. That is one thing. The second is people are more sedentary. Sedentary means you're seated in one place while you're working on the laptop or working on computers all day. And the third
Dr. Dina,
is,
Dr. Dina, the fact is, it's a fact now. We work more when you are working from home,
yeah,
meeting after meeting, meeting clients, meeting bosses, meeting colleagues, team meeting. At least if you are in office, you will have your lunch break. I know
yeah.
there are a lot of people who bring their lunch to their table. So, so we will get into those. So yes, you can continue about the nutrition part of it.
Yeah, so sedentary lifestyle, sitting in one place and working, the lack of exercise compared to before. And the third thing is the stress, right? We're all going through something that none of our ancestors have been through. This
True,
whole pandemic has been just so challenging that nobody was prepared for this, and we are still figuring it out.
true.
And I think the most stressful thing about this is the uncertainty. Nobody knows when we are going to come out of it, and uncertainty is what leads to anxiety.
True.
And so, because of these things, eating healthy becomes even more important because we are already in a not so great mental space given the circumstances of the pandemic.
Yeah. So let me ask. Before that, I think we have Callum, who generally comes and say hi to me. Hi, Callum. Thank you very much for coming. Every week he comes here. Some of those who really support this whole venture. So
Yeah.
uh, let me ask you a real Sri Lankan question. We eat a lot of rice. So you want to comment on that?
Yes, I do because I have to deal with rice on a daily basis when I'm
Okay.
practicing. Because Sri Lankan patients come to me. Well, I have good news and bad news. What do you want first?
Let's go for the bad news. We'll keep the good ones for later.
The bad news is the quantity. Like typical Sri Lankans eat a lot of rice, so they have a little mountain when they serve the rice. So that is what we need to cut down on, the quantity of the rice. And the good news is that rice is not the enemy. Rice, in fact, is one of the best sources of carbs compared to so many alternative sources. So rice is not the enemy; it's the attachment we have with the quantity of rice.
So, I mean, if you ask the audience when it comes to rice or maybe their meal, what do you want? Quality or quantity? They might say we want quality, but if you really go and observe what they do, they go for quantity than quality. You go to any local wayside hotel and you ask for a rice pack to take home.
Mm,
They are never stingy. They are very generous when it comes to the rice part of it. Only when it comes
mm.
to the curries and the vegetables, they are very, very stingy.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah,
reverse that.
I know. So talking about rice, you want to give any advice? I mean, today it's about nutrition and fitness, and I asked you about the rice question. So,
Mhm.
do I have to ask this? Is there a specific quantity of rice that we need to eat?
Well, there is no one answer because it depends on your activity, it depends on your current weight, it depends on your current, lifestyle. But in general, if you can stick to approximately 1 cup of rice after cooking,
You are going to hurt a lot of you are going to hurt a lot of them over there. 1 cup of rice.
1 cup of rice. It depends though. If it's a tall
I
male,
know.
for example, he can have more than a female who is shorter in her body stature. So it depends.
Okay. So, yeah, as you said, if someone is very active, physically sometimes you may need more energy, so it's okay. But if not,
Of
now
course.
especially those people who are sitting and waiting for the whole day because of computer programming or meeting, rice is an enemy.
Not
If
an
you
enemy,
do,
again. No, it's not an
okay.
enemy. They can still have their rice for lunch, but again, try to balance it, having a lot of veggies and try to have it more balanced compared to one massive plate of rice. And some people, Amita, have rice 3 times a day. There are Sri Lankans who eat rice 3 times a day.
I'm also guilty. Yeah, I know. Uh, we don't know the reason. So
That's
sometimes we
because we
hear,
come from a background of farmers and agriculture, so some of those traits are still very present, even though our lifestyle has changed compared to our ancestors.
yeah, I know. So one of the complaints we hear from the one who prepares meal, maybe it's the mothers or the housewives or the partners. But, you get the
Yeah,
complaint. Yeah, I
yeah,
know. Okay. And then the next question is, why should we worry about fitness these days?
well, that's because, as we've already mentioned, the whole sitting in one place and working is causing a lot of your blood circulation not the usual way. Like if you're in an office, people will at least get up and go to the kitchen, as you said, for lunch, or maybe they will walk around in the company they're
Office.
working in. But in this case, you're literally in one place. Maybe the maximum you're going is from the place you're working to the bedroom and to the kitchen inside the house. So you have to get some kind of movement throughout the day to get your blood flowing, because that can lead to so many other side effects as well.
Okay. So now let me put it this way. In my case, I don't have any sports background. I haven't done swimming. So, I'm coming from Gamesh college. So we didn't have all this fancy stuff at home. Maybe we had the, the annual sports meets. Once in a blue moon, we get ready and participate in one, and that's it. So if someone has not come from real sports background, what can we do?
Well, you can still do a lot. I mean, I didn't come from a sports background, remember?
Yeah, true.
so I think it's still not too late, no matter what your age is. Sometimes just going for a walk for those who don't do anything is a good start, right? For going for a walk just for 15 to 20 minutes a day is a good start, but we have to check again. So there are some patients who come with specific joint issues. For them, going for a walk might not even be an option. So for them, I actually give a seated workout where they literally are seated on a chair, and we do an entire routine while seated on the chair, keeping their knees or ankles not like immobilized, for example.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So you do, I mean, this is an additional question. So you help whoever comes to you, you could also help online, like virtual sessions. You do that.
Yes, absolutely. Because with the lockdowns, we had to convert all the one on one clinic and in person programs into the online version. So, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So how about the age? I mean, sometimes people think about their exercises and all that only when they pass a certain milestone. Oh my God! Or it's like when should you check your uh, blood for sugar or whatever. Likewise, there are times. So when it comes to activities, maybe you have not done any activity for a very long time. So how do you get about with the age?
Well, no matter what age you are, you can always start. That is good news. But the not so good news is you have to do it under very, very professional instructions, because if you try to do it on your own and you don't get a proper warm up, for example, you can get injured. So I have patients ranging from the age of 10 all the way to 72 currently.
Oh, 72. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a different way to handle different age groups, but it's never too late to get your blood circulation going and to move. I don't even like the word workout and exercise so much, because people imagine somebody with, a very athletic, intense workout routine. So if we would call it movement, I think that will be a little more friendlier and easier for people to get started.
Yeah. So one reason why somebody needs someone who could help with fitness or nutrition is you have to have an accountability partner. I'm sure some of the things that you tell, once when you told, I could record it, I can write down, that's clear instructions. I'm sure you can be as much as clear. But then when I don't have an accountability partner, someone whom I am accountable to, I may not be motivated to do so. So this is an additional question. Like uh, you said, you have kids, 10 to 72. Uh, who tend to really listen to you and take up your advices? I mean, when it comes
Well,
to age,
I
what
think
like
the
I'm trying to understand whether age and a motivation has a connection here for people to move their body.
Yeah. So two categories are very motivated. One are those who have to do something about their fitness because of health, because doctors have warned them if they don't do something that they could get really sick. That is
Okay.
one category. And the other is the category that's very concerned of their beauty. So I have a lot
Okay.
of young men and young men and women who are very conscious. They are very concerned about how they look. They want to lose their waistline. They are very motivated, as much as the people who are sick and scared that something's going to happen to them. So those are the two categories.
All right. So we have Nissan Salah here who says, glad to see that Dr. Deena on board with Cinnamon Chat with Amita. Today we have a doctor, fitness trainer, motivational speaker, author, and many more, all in one. Thank you both. So now I never spoke about or knew about your author side of the story. You want to add anything here? Because Nissan Salah is giving us a tip about you are a motivational speaker and you are an author. I'm sure you, as a motivational speaker, you have already motivated for me to reduce my rice intake. So there's no two questions about, you speak so well and then you have enough subjects to talk about. But then how come that you are an author and how come that I don't know that?
So I am a published author. I have over 40 publications. Um, so it started at the most, how can I say? It started with the father of publication in Sri Lanka, Lake House.
Okay.
So it started with the Sunday Observer. Many years ago, somebody had seen my writing through Facebook and then said, "Why don't you contribute for the Sunday Observer?" And I was doing that, and I was happy to contribute for free. After a while, they were very happy with the contribution, and they actually asked me to contribute for the health column. So for a while, I was contributing to the health column. And then after that, the magazines like Explore Sri Lanka and Sri Lankan Airlines, Architect, and so many other magazines as well have been published.
Interesting. So let me move on to one of the questions from our side. Now, you also said about joint pains and all. So, what kind of movements that do you recommend for people who have joint pains, or maybe they are worried now? Once when if there is a pain in one of the joint, what happens is you are scared to move, and then somebody comes and tells, hey, you have to do exercises, fitness, forget about it. You think that it's going to break. How do we go about it? What kind of advice would you like to give?
So, first thing is, Amita, my question is if they've gone and got it checked from an orthopedic surgeon, because we have to take x rays and we have to rule out the injury part of it. So, I would generally suggest go to the orthopedic doctor, get the x rays, and first find out what the pain is and why the root cause of it. Is the pain in the bone? Is it in the muscle? Is it in the ligament? You have to check that out and figure that out. and get the treatment for it. After that is done, let's say someone is recovering from a fracture or from a joint pain and they are taking medications, then when they come to me, we would not move that joint. For example, if you have a knee pain on one side, on the left side, we can do a lot of workouts for the upper body and for the other side of the body as well without moving that particular joint. So we can
Okay.
still immobilize that joint and work around it, it's called. The second
Okay.
thing is, if it's, for example, in your ankle, and if you're somebody who can swim, then that is one of the best ways, because that is taking you off the ground. So you're not putting any impact on that joint in that
Yeah,
case.
yeah, yeah, I know. So amazing. So you will, in your case, as the doctor or the instructor or the whoever is giving the therapy, you will make sure to give what is appropriate based on the condition that person is in.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course.
Okay. So we have a very specific question. I don't know whether Charak is trying to ask you a question without having to go to your clinic, but then it's a nice question. I would like to know, in order to strengthen the knees, what best precautions one could take. I do run once in 2 days straight up to 8 kilometers. This helps my mental fitness in the lockdowns and yes, supports my corporate life. Further, what's the target hydrated levels, meaning how much of water we must drink? So it's a loaded question from knee to water.
Yeah. So let's start with the knees. First of all, if you're somebody who doesn't have any pain or injury, then your
Someone
knees
like
are.
me, yes, someone like me, okay.
So if he's squatting, for example, he could add resistant bands above the knee, and that does help prevent injury, for example. But with running, Charaka, I would highly suggest to make sure you have the right shoes, because you want to have the ideal shoes for running, and also make sure the surface on which you run is suitable for running. Sometimes running on tar and roads in Sri Lanka has had a side effect on some people's injuries because it's not the most ideal of surfaces.
So jogging
So,
tracks.
jogging tracks, exactly.
Okay. All
Ah,
right.
okay. Ah, okay, yes. Compared to tar and concrete roads.
Oh, okay. So Charaka, check your shoes, check your knees, and then the next one is the target hydrated levels for someone who runs 8 kilometers.
That to answer that, I would have to do a more detailed nutritional assessment, because the amount of water depends on the height, the weight, the activity, and your fitness goals, and so many other things. But on average, I would say for a male of average height, it's roughly 3 liters a day.
Okay.
That's the amount, yeah.
Okay. Right. We have Nirosa who says, great and a timely topic. Thank you, Nirosa, for coming in. Get your husband also to listen to this. Huh? Okay. Right. So Charaka says, yes, I have hard surface running shoes. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Right. Really. Yeah. And I mean, Charaka's question is actually, it represents a lot of the corporates who run and then sometimes I sometimes walk run, but I haven't gone to specifically towards that's how it happens, no? Until you get a joint pain or something, you wouldn't go, you try everything, and then suddenly there's an imbalance, and then only we will think about, okay, let me now go to somebody like Dr. Dina. So Nirosa says he is listening, it seems. So that's good. That's good. Thank you very much for joining the show. So, Dr. Dina, next question. Um, Now, you want to give few advices to those who are continuously sitting and working. What can they do? Let's say especially if it is a lockdown. Now, in an area where I live, lockdowns mean I can't even go to the road. I mean, I open the gate, I'm on the road, and the road you are not supposed to be going. And I'm at home, maybe limited 5 perch, 7 perch. There's hardly any. And then sometimes I don't have maybe 1 hour break between two meetings to get up and walk around.
Yeah.
Uh, so far, I can't go to a jogging track. Is there anything that someone could do? Few movements, which could help
Of
someone's
course.
fitness?
So one thing is, if you're working for hours, let's say you're working 9 to 5. I mean, you already mentioned we
Yeah.
work more than that, but
Yes.
at least once an hour, if you can get up and just go to the kitchen, go to the washroom, is that possible?
Definitely possible. Humanly possible. Yes.
So at least once an hour, if you can get up and just go for a walk around and then come back to your chair, that would help. Ideally, research shows that every 20 minutes, if you can get up and just change the position of your body, change your posture, that helps. But if not for every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes. If not for every 30 minutes, at least once an hour is definitely something you can do. And I'm sure that a lot of people will be able to find 20 minutes throughout the day
Yeah.
to
They
to
should.
just to just at least do a few claps, clap forwards, clap upwards, and move your hands in circles back and forth. I'm sure that is something that you can make time to do. And also, Amita, drinking water, very important. You've seen me go on and on about how important water is, so we
So
should be drinking a
we
lot of
have
water.
a question from Yasita. Any simple tips for a daily routine for a work from home to avoid the stress and being active throughout the day? So you were referring to few of the exercises, simple ones. So stress is, I know, I'm sure there are a lot of patients come to you. I recently also heard you were advising, giving tips on stress on Clubhouse. I mean, those who are on Clubhouse, please follow Dr. Dina. She's one of the top Clubhouse active member in Sri Lanka. So, what do you want to say? Few tips about. Let me ask it this way: could your bodily problems lead into stress?
It's
I'm
the
talking
other
about,
way. It's the
no,
other way.
no. It's like this. For an example, let's say I'm not so stressed
Mm,
in terms of my work,
mm.
but then I can't get up and go because there are so many meetings and all that. Let's say they are light-hearted meetings, not so deadline driven. But there's no way that I can get up and go, and it goes for about 30 days. Could that impact my stress levels?
Definitely. Definitely. Sedentary lifestyle itself is like making you lethargic. And when you're not moving, when you're in one place, it is definitely not healthy in itself. And the question that this last gentleman asked was how we can work, because then we have to get to the cause. For some people, the cause is work related because they can't handle the load. For
Yes.
others, it could be other things like little fights in the house. I think we all have those little fights,
Yeah.
especially in the lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah. Big ones too. Yeah. Sometimes big ones too.
Sometimes things like that. Sometimes with a friend, it could be something very simple that maybe you
Yeah.
didn't answer their phone call when they wanted to speak to you and you were genuinely busy. Like right now, I'm in this meeting, but a friend who doesn't understand that this is happening live could expect me to be responding to them. And it could just
True.
be some silly misunderstanding like that, which could just blow out of proportion because everybody is going through a very stressful period because of the pandemic and lockdown.
Yeah. So few
So,
tips on managing stress. You manage stress
yeah,
when you own it though. So what to do? You have anyway owned it now working from home. Few things that
yeah.
you could do.
A few things you can do is definitely, this is going to sound counterproductive, but I'm going to say it because it's important. Cut down on screen time. We all,
And move to Clubhouse.
so cut down on screen time as much as you can, at least 1 hour before sleeping, Amita, because then that would help you sleep better.
You are
Another
making
thing
me
is,
guilty. You are making me guilty again. You said 1 hour before sleeping. Okay.
another thing is to stay hydrated, as we have already mentioned. Another thing is to make sure you're eating on time because sometimes the quality of food isn't so much under control during a lockdown because, like you don't have all the ingredients, for example.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I wanted some green leaves, and then for about 3 weeks, I was dying for green leaves, can't go out. And then one day, one fellow came in a truck and said, "We have green leaves." I'm sure I would have, bought so much like a cow because there was no green on the plate. We just
yeah.
eat what is available. So what you say is eating on a routine is very important.
Yeah, eating on a routine is important, and also not skipping meals. Now, some people skip breakfast, people skip dinner, very common. And some who are trying to lose weight think that they can do that by skipping meals when it's actually going to do the opposite for you. When you skip meals, when the next meal comes, you're so hungry, you can eat like a horse. That's how people are hungry. So that's actually counterproductive, and that is going to just mess up your system in so many different ways.
Yeah, so we have a question from John again. So I will just only pick what is most important. He's asking about when it comes to the amount of water that you need to drink, is it including the solid food that you take where there's certain amount of water in it? And then second one, what's the best body language to say you are deprived of water? What are some of the signs, that you
Okay,
haven't taken water,
sure.
enough
So,
water?
so first question, the amount of water is only pure plain water. It doesn't even include tea, coffee, or juices, and obviously not
Oh,
alcoholic drinks.
okay. Now, see, I'm at the moment I'm having a cup of tea, and I'm pampering myself. I'm taking enough liquid.
Tea and coffee actually dehydrates, so it's counter.
I mean, no wonder you are a nutritionist, and then
No, but hey, I just give a disclaimer to everybody. I love my tea. I cannot live without tea. For me, the biggest challenge during the pandemic was not being able to have a decent cup of tea because there was no proper fresh milk. So I'm not somebody who says that go completely away from the Sri Lankan lifestyle. I am very pro rice and curry. I am very pro tea. I am very pro everything that is Sri Lanka. You just should know how to take it and the timings. If you can learn how to do it smartly, you don't have to feel like you're going on a diet, and
yeah,
deprive yourself and starve yourself.
yeah. I mean, the word diet has a different meaning here. I mean, people look at me and sometimes, okay, he's on a diet. No, I'm not
Yeah.
on a diet. This has been my figure forever. Yeah. So my next question now, talking about fitness. Let's say you have time to do something, exercises, and what do you recommend? Let's say
That
in my case, I do yoga because I have learned under a professional. But then let's say someone has not done yoga, neither kung fu, karate, there's no swimming pool around. What can somebody do? And but I have, let's say, good 45 minutes of time in the evening. What can I do?
again, Amita, it depends on age, it depends on their lifestyle, it depends on what you like. Not everything works for everybody, right?
Okay.
Not everyone is supposed to go to a gym and get a membership because not everybody likes that environment. Some
True.
feel very uncomfortable in a gym environment, which is why that my programs are designed in a way so that people can do it anytime, anywhere, and they can do it at home even, because it's pure body weight exercises. So for those who are trying to figure it out, I would suggest before you like go and commit to any one thing, go and try a few different things. Go for a dance class, go for some martial arts
Oh,
class,
okay.
because just before the lockdown I also started dancing because I needed something that was like more free than rules, because even martial arts has rules, like when you kick you have to, when you punch you have to stop in one place, you have to like hold it in one place, like you can't just free yourself. So then I kind of went and checked out dancing, and that was very liberating. So not everything has to be very serious and gym kind of workouts. You have to try out and see what you like. For example, my mom loves swimming, and she tried to get
Wow.
me. She tried to get me into it, but it was really not my thing. you know. So I would
Okay.
recommend you guys to go and try out different things under qualified people who can help you out and see how you feel, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it for too long.
Okay. Interesting. So there's something that we learn about warming up. You want to add anything about warming up? Sometimes you want to do a serious moves, and then you recall and remember, okay, if you don't do proper warm up, you could injure yourself. You
Yeah.
want to add anything over there about fitness?
Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of people end up getting injured because they don't warm up properly. They're so excited and motivated to jump right into the workout that they would just not take the warm up seriously. For example, if a person is going to the gym and they're going to squat, they would just walk on the treadmill for 5 to 10 minutes and then go squat, which is not the right way to do it. I personally see this a lot happening when I go to the gym as well. So, if you're going to warm up, you want the warm up to be like an easier version of the workout and then ease into it. For example, if a person is going to warm up with a few weights, then just run around or do a few jumping jacks and then do warm up with only the body weight without any of the extra stuff like weights and bands or anything. Was
Oh,
that clear, or should I
yeah.
simplify?
No, that was very clear. So now
Yeah.
let's imagine I'm at home, right? Let's say maybe I'll have to. How can I warm up at home?
So at home, you could, if you have a space to walk around, you could do a brisk walk 5 to 10 minutes. Then you
Okay.
could do jump. If you don't, again, if you don't have any joint issues, you could do some jumping jacks, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
You could just clap your arms in different directions. So you want to be intentional and warm up the joints and the muscles both in a proper way. So for the shoulders, for example, you could do arm circles back and forth. You can do claps, and then to warm up your abs, you can just bend down and touch your toes. So it's about doing different moves to. So what does a warm up mean? A warm up is a bunch of exercises and movements to break a sweat
Oh, okay.
and to get your heart rate up. Your heart rate has to go up and you have to break a sweat. Those
Okay.
are two things. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now I'm wondering, what did I do as a warm up? I didn't sweat. So then
Sometimes
that,
you won't sweat if it's not very hot and it depends on the temperature, but your heart rate has to go up. That's like a prerequisite for a warm up.
okay. All right. So I think I need to come to you. Looks like, because looks like I know everything half.
Okay.
And then maybe too much of YouTube. And what happens is, when you watch a video on YouTube, it's not customized for myself. It's, I mean, you were very careful about giving these advices, and before every advice you said it depends, but let me tell you this. So I can understand there are so many boxes to tick before you say something, because this is about somebody's health, and somebody's going to say, hey, Dr. Dina, I tried that and I just broke my neck.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's say I do my 15 minutes of warm up, and then let's say I do a 45 minutes of workout, all sorts of things, right? Let's say, I mean, I sometimes, what I do is, I play badminton with my one of my sons, good 45 minutes, and then suddenly my son would say, Tati, it's enough now, I'm going. So suddenly it comes to an abrupt stop, and then I'll go and sit down. And you know what I do sometimes? I'll order a cup of tea. So
What?
you, so you wanna add anything about how do we finish warm up?
Yeah.
You do something, and then what?
The cool down. It's called the cool down.
Okay, so
The
how
cool
should
down and the
we?
stretching, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, it depends, Amita. Now, if you are doing the badminton, after that, it's not the same as a workout. So it's even after that, if you just sit in one place and then go take a shower, start like finish your day, that's fine. But for a person doing exercises, even at home, there's a crowd who have bought the dumbbells and the required equipment. For
Yeah.
them, definitely you have to do a proper warm up, which is again a whole different topic for a different day. But I would recommend a proper warm up, including a good stretch for at least 10 to 15 minutes, to the point that for absolute beginners with no fitness history, what I first do is train them only on the warm up and the cool down. That alone is enough for the workout.
Okay.
So you're gonna do the warm up, and then once the warm up is done, I'll teach the stretch if you're like an absolute beginner, and master those two first before you jump to the middle section of the workout.
Okay. And then finally the cool down part of it.
Exactly. So the cool down can be breathing techniques, it can be isolated stretchers where you hold in one place, but even that has to be done in a careful way because some people directly jump into stretching. Like when I go to the gym, when I see people before even starting anything, they start stretching in one place. And that's the worst thing you can do because the muscles and joints are not warmed up and you're jumping into like direct poses. And if you're in your 20s, you might get away with it because the body can react fast. But people keep doing this into their 30s, 40s, it's going to snap at some point. Sorry
Yeah,
to
okay.
say.
So
Disclaimer.
I'm still at cooling down part of it. So I thought cool down is okay, you stop your work and then it's cool down. No, there's a method to cooling down.
Correct. And also, you mentioned one more thing. So, you said we are doing a 10 to 15-minute warm up and then you're going to play badminton for 45 minutes. So, for an average person, I would say the warm up, the workout, the cool down, everything included, 45 minutes is more than enough. It doesn't have to exceed that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the days
So,
that
yeah.
I exceed that, even next day it is very difficult.
Of course, it's too much sometimes. Overtraining, then we come to overtraining. Topic of
Okay.
overtraining, yeah.
All right. So we have Krishant joining from YouTube. What type of eating behavior do you recommend for a person with high level of sugar? Now, he's not asking about what to eat, but he's asking about eating behavior.
Right. So he means having diabetes, right? When he
Yeah,
says
someone
sugar.
who has sugar.
Right. So again, I have to do an assessment. Without the assessment, it's
I
difficult to
know.
comment. It's comment because it depends on that person's current weight, what their eating habits are like. Are they on medication or are they on insulin? So we have to check all of that before I can give a diet. In fact, even if someone comes to the clinic, Amita, after having the first discussion for 7 to 10 days, they have to send me pictures of all their food for us to then lock in the diet.
So wait a minute. Do people still come to you after all those harassments of taking pictures and sending their diets? Hey, by the way, are they being very honest?
They are because I said, don't worry how it looks. Some people want it to look all perfect. I'm like, don't worry how it looks. Just send it because it's a documentation.
And of course, you are making people guilty. You take your own food and look at on the phone. You don't feel like eating it
No,
anymore.
but that's the most accurate way, right? For an entire week, if I get to see all the meals and snacks that you're eating, honestly, then we can both sit and have a discussion of what we can agree on because it's an agreement. I can just
Yes,
write a theoretical diet and give anybody, but they're not going to follow it if it's not practical for them, right?
true.
Each household is different, and I also, anyone watching this, if you want to come, please come with the person who is cooking the food because because the gentlemen who don't come with the wife or the kids who don't come with the mom have to come another day because the person who's cooking it is the one who has to be present in order to know how to cook it and to figure those details out.
Wow, super. This is next level. Uh, I know now how you make people guilty, and then
Let's
if
call
you
it
ask,
awareness. Let's call it awareness. People are
no,
becoming aware.
yeah. The other thing is, if you ask me what I ate 5 days ago for
Hmm.
dinner,
Hmm.
I can never tell you. But this way, for 7 days, if I document what I eat, I mean, I can identify. I myself will be able to identify patterns. All the misbehaviors. Yeah, that's awareness, enlightenment. I would say. Yeah. So we have Yasita. This is another one. Thank you, Yasita, for asking this question. In a lockdown environment, would skipping be a better resemble for jogging? Now, skipping rope, I do this whenever it's raining. No, no, can't play badminton, and then I don't do anything for warming up, but then it's a very slow start for 10 minutes and then I go intensive. So Yasita, it's a good question. Thank you very much for uh, asking that question. Doctor, over to you.
So again, it depends because whether you're wearing the right shoes, whether you have any joint issues, whether you're somebody who needs a warm up before you can even jump into skipping. Because somebody who is in their teens or 20s, if they just jump into skipping, they might be fine. Somebody in their 30s or 40s who isn't as fit, whose joint health isn't as great, could have issues and they could get injured. So it depends on the background of the person who's asking. But if you're somewhat athletic and you are somebody who's been generally active, then there shouldn't be a problem to it.
Someone like me. Yeah,
I said people in 20s, Amita.
my kids shouldn't watch this. So, uh, so Yasita, I hope you heard it right. And then we have another message from John who says, before we forget, kindly can we ask Dr. Tushar the contact details of the doctor, which would be benefited for so many. I suggest even this wonderful doctor, this caliber who wears many hats, a doctor, author, inspirational speaker, a full pack under one roof to be introduced to our parents who would continue at least for a few months and our children. The best take, thanks in advance. Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. Uh, how can someone reach out to you?
Sure. So I am available at the Skin Clinic, Laurie's Road. That's where I work as a consultant. But make sure that you make the appointment through e-channeling because I don't go every day. So the routine can change depending on appointments and stuff. And it's also available online. So for those people, especially out of Colombo, who can't travel like between districts or who cannot make it, you can also make an appointment through video consultation as well. You can get in touch with me. So if you go even to my LinkedIn, you can drop me a message and get the details, or even on Instagram. If you go to my Instagram profile, there's a link that you can click, and that link will take you to the various sections through which you can get in touch with me.
Is this the link?
Yeah, so that's my Instagram handle. If you go to my page, if you click on the link in the bio, it would take you to various options through which you can get in touch with me as well.
Yeah, so we saw that it's very difficult to give an answer which can be applied by everybody because each body condition, age, maybe the previous problems you have had, the medication, and so many things could affect whatever the instruction that Dr. Dina would give you. And she's a very busy person because there are, I mean, of course, other than practice, she also gets invited for many forums and discussions, especially these days, I guess, online discussions as to what, I mean, this is how I decided to invite Dr. Dina. So, any advice that you want to give for kids? Kids are very active, used to be, but now, you can't go out. What can kids do? And what kind of advice you would give a parent when it comes to kids? I mean, a parent could easily label their kids like misbehaving these days. So, you have any advice to parents when it comes to activities of their kids? Again, this is fitness.
Yeah. But first of all, I mean, before fitness, I would say please be kind because they are also going through a lot. As kids, they don't have their friends, they're not going to school, their routine has been messed up. And it's hard for them as much as it is hard for us, and just because they're small and they're kids doesn't mean that they're not going through the emotions we are going through. So be kind, and as much as it can get very challenging for parents, I have mothers who are my patients who are almost crying, Amita, saying that sometimes with two or three kids they have to manage the online school. It's like back to back the whole day running parallel, and they don't have the space to breathe or do anything because they have to
True.
monitor these things.
Yeah.
So I understand it's a very, very hard time. I have so many young moms also who come to me, and I really do empathize with them. What I would suggest is try be kind and try your best to be compassionate during this time. And since the children are already spending a lot of time on screen with online schooling, they're going to have to come up with different activities. Maybe just board games, like back in the days, we used to play Ludo and Snake and Ladders and these kind of board games. That would be a much better replacement to the screen games,
True.
as hard as it is. And also try to make healthy snacks for them, because while they're doing the online schools, the kids are eating a lot of snacks these days.
Ask me about it. And then
So
naturally, you would want to get processed or packed food. But then again, you look at convenience, but that could affect their nutritional requirements, isn't it?
So, if I was to give very simple one or two tips, I would say cut up some fruit, whatever is available, even some pear, even some plantain, or whatever is available, or even cut up some cucumber and some carrots and try to make it fun. Mix up the cucumbers with grapes, for example, so that they'll also get that sweet and sour both in it. So it's not going to be boring, and they wouldn't think it's a salad. But
Yeah.
try to make it interesting. And for
give a
sweet,
give a different name. Huh? Don't call it a salad.
yes. And for sweets, maybe you can substitute it with dates, for example, and maybe a few pieces of mango instead of putting like jelly, or instead of adding artificial sweeteners. That would make a significant difference with their health as well, including for the parents.
Yeah, you are also forming habits, aren't you?
Exactly.
When you do these kind
Exactly.
of things. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we have spent good 1 hour, and then I have asked about more than 13, 14, 15 questions, and then there were questions and comments coming from the audience. So I would like to thank Dr. Deena for coming and uh, basically sharing your experience, because someone could come and theoretically answer, but then someone also could add the personal experience, as you said, compassionate, being empathetic. A lot of things could add value. So, which you did today. Thank you very much for coming on board and helping all of those deserved ones. Everybody needs this at this time. You don't have to maybe sit down and listen to this, but if you could take one advice and implement, while maybe do some exercise during a little short break between two meetings, it is for your own benefit. Any last
Sure.
word for those who are working from home, uh,
Sure.
doctor?
Yes, Samita. I'm going to keep it simple, which is that even if you are not able to reach your fitness goals or eat perfectly healthy, be compassionate with yourself. Go easy on yourself, because this is a very challenging time for us all. And don't think that you're in this alone. I think as a humanity, we are going through this together, and everybody is going through an emotionally challenging time. So just because I mean, don't to worry too much about it. If you plan to work out 5 times in the week, even if you get 2 to 3 times, that's still good. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. Next thing, if you can't get 1 hour, get at least 10 to 15 minutes before you go for a shower. That's still better than nothing. So my
Yeah.
main message would be to be compassionate with yourself and everyone around you, because this is a very challenging time that we are going through. And feel free to reach out to Amita, to me, and we would try and help you out with whatever we can, or put you in touch with people who can help you.
Yeah, I mean, while general advice on various forums, free advice could help you, uh, some of the things cannot be given free, because you have to sit down with somebody, spend time, examine. and give advice, and that's time and effort. So that for that, of course, you can meet the doctor and make an appointment through e-channeling, go meet, get advice and do it. I know there are a lot of happy customers. I mean, I know Dr. Dina for maybe last 3-4 years. I know there are a lot of happy customers who have completely got rid of their waistlines. I have seen some of the videos. And then in one group, one person used to put the pictures of what he eats before sending to you. He used to put and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna send this to Dr. Dina. What do you guys think?" And we say, "You are done. You are finished. Now you want to send this to Dr. Dina." These are the kind of fun moments we have had among friends. So I'm sure everybody would follow and do whatever is possible, and then be motivated if you have been listening to us. And then with another episode like this, let's meet someone again, someone very special like Dr. Dina next week also. And my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Dina for coming and helping. I would call this my community. I have around 16,000 plus family here, and not everybody comes here, but then whenever possible, whoever is possible, they jump in. Thank you very much. Okay, one last question from Krishant. He's asking,
Okay.
is it good for a person over 50 to resume workout after a long interval?
Yes, you can, but start very slow. If you don't have joint pains, go for a walk for at least 1 week and build up on that. And then do the stretch and then start doing simple exercises without giving too much pressure onto your joints and then build it up very slowly.
Right. Okay. Prashanta, I know it definitely it's not for you, but maybe for someone else. He's not yet 50, so maybe it's for his father or someone. Anyway, thank you very much for that question. Okay.
You're
So,
welcome.
yeah. So, everyone, stay safe, follow the guidelines of the health authorities, and let's help, finish all these lockdowns, and we want to go back to our normal daily life. Thank you very much and stay safe. Good night.
Good night.